Imagine your phone ringing in the middle of the night. You pick it up, and it's your daughter. She's crying, she's frantic, and she's telling you she's in serious trouble and needs you to wire money immediately. You recognize her breathing, the pitch of her voice, the specific way she stammers when she's panicked. But she is perfectly safe, asleep in her own bed miles away. Every sob and plea you just heard was fabricated by a machine. This exact scenario is playing out across the globe. Last year, Americans lost nearly $9 billion to deepfake fraud. We are dealing with a massive extraction of wealth built on weaponized audio. This map shows the scale of the threat. According to recent surveys, 1 in 10 people globally report being targeted by an AI voice cloning scam. And if you think you could spot the fake, look at the data. Studies show that human listeners only correctly identify synthetic audio about 53.7% of the time. Relying on our natural hearing has become a coin flip. Biological intuition is no longer a reliable firewall. To defend against us, we have to look at how these clones are actually assembled. The process starts with acquisition. To train a voice cloning model, scammers don't need hours of clean studio recordings. They need 3 seconds of audio scraped from a public social media video or a leaked voicemail. And the software they use isn't some complex malware developed on the dark web. Criminals are simply buying subscriptions to legitimate corporate marketing AI tools, services designed for audiobook production and content localization. Researchers call this the marketing fraud convergence. This diagram illustrates the core mechanism of imitation-based deepfakes. The software takes a spoken input signal and runs it through a filter. It strips out the original speaker's style and forces the signal to take on the precise tone, intonation, and frequency of your scraped voice without changing a single word of the script. Here, the diagram expands to show the engine driving this process, a generative adversarial network, or GAN. 2 neural networks compete against each other. One acts as a generator, pumping out fake voices, while the other acts as a detector, trying to spot the fakes. They battle back and forth millions of times until the generator produces an audio file accurate enough that the detector accepts it as human. The accessibility of these generative tools has shifted the bottleneck of a heist. Deception that once required specialized skills is now a routine, automated task, allowing a single actor to scale identity theft across thousands of targets. This technology is being deployed across distinct tiers of execution. At the entry level, criminals target individuals with those fake family emergency calls, netting an average of $6,000 per attack. But the attacks scale up. In early 2020, a branch manager in the UAE received a phone call from a company director. Recognizing the voice, the manager authorized a transfer of $35 million. The entire conversation was an AI clone. That UAE heist proved that deepfakes could bypass the $1.9 billion voice biometrics industry that global financial institutions have relied on for security. This brings us to the highest level execution recorded, the January 2024 heist against the British engineering firm Arup in Hong Kong. An employee authorized a $25 million transfer because he was following instructions given during a multi-party video conference call. He thought he was talking to his chief financial officer and several colleagues. In reality, he was the only human on the call. Every other participant was an AI deepfake. These cases reveal a systemic vulnerability in modern security. The voice biometric systems protecting nearly $2 billion in assets were built on the assumption that vocal identity is a static, reliable signature. When software can simulate that signature, biometrics become an entry point for attackers rather than a barrier. This animated scale illustrates a societal fallout called the liar's dividend. Because deepfakes exist, criminals can point to genuine, incriminating audio and claim it is an AI fabrication. Synthetic media creates an immense challenge when trying to weight truth in a courtroom. Legislators are drafting rules for a version of the technology that is already obsolete by the time the bill reaches a vote. We see this struggle clearly in India. Because there is no specific statutory framework recognizing facial likeness and voice ownership as protective legal attributes, victims are forced to rely on scattered cybercrime laws meant to handle basic impersonation. In the United States, the Federal Communications Commission recently took the step of making AI-generated robocalls illegal. But as soon as these bans take effect, scammers adapt their methods to outmaneuver the rules. Defense now requires offline, analog verification. Families and corporate teams are establishing safe words, unique phrases never spoken on social media or voicemails, making them impossible for a machine to scrape and clone. We are also seeing the rise of technological countermeasures. New AI audio detection tools scan files for the unnatural pitch, uniform speed, and pacing anomalies that human ears miss, fighting fire with fire. The new rule of the digital age is to verify before you trust, because right now, hearing